Welcome to an Eyes on EB exclusive, Stirring the Pot with Rob W.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rob Wilson. This is Alex Barrow from Results Performance in the Brunswick Square Mall. And many of you know that's like still one of my favorite places. I'm always over there. I always go to check out to see what you guys have going on. And I have to say, you got a lot going on.
So it's something.
I was walking through. Sometimes I get a massage over there. I was walking through, then all of a sudden I see a big space being ripped apart. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And then I saw you and John back there. I'm like, oh Jesus, what are these guys doing now?
Father John's Mall. Yeah. That's an inside joke in the Brunswick Square Mall. It's like another one.
Yeah, you guys are taking it over, but it's all part of the changes, right? And it looks really great. It's a massive facility. I mean, it's a big
10,000 square feet.
How many?
10,000 square feet.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. And it looks great. You got some turf fields, some rock climbing, batting cages, mini golf. So it's more like would you say an activity?
So we pretty much expanded from just being a sports performance center to a full-on activity center. So we have 5,000 square feet of just training, turf going all the way down the line, equipment, anything that you might need to train and condition an athlete. And on the other side, we had a lot of space to fill.
Yeah.
We have a virtual rock climbing wall in the front, and we have mini golf going all along the second side. And what we're even most excited about, we have batting cage in the back.
Right. I seen that.
Yeah, which is something new that we brought to East Brunswick, because they have them in the surrounding towns, but nothing really allocated to East Brunswick specifically.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's really the only batting cage in the area.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
We've been really excited about it, and we're happy to service everybody with it.
Any dads try to take a swing and throw out their back?
Well, actually, yes. But for the most part, it's really nice to see the parents come in with their kids even on a random day. And, those who used to play baseball or who have kids that do play baseball, they'll take a turn, and it's good to see them bonding with their children.
Yeah.
So really the essence of what we try to do is just create good family experiences. You hear John say it all the time that, that's just our mission, is to create healthy spaces and encourage people to be active, but also create family bonding experience.
Right, yeah, because it's always difficult to figure out what to do with your family at times, and everybody complains that, I know, just because I run this page and I pay attention to other pages, that everybody complains that there's nothing to do in town, and you guys are kind of filling that void, which is really great, between the boxing, Results Boxing, and a Result Performance, and you have the axe throwing place across the place, so you guys are really doing a great job with all that.
And what I realize is, what I've always known is that a lot of parents have multiple kids. So they'll come in, they got to wait for one kid to train. There's not much to do with the other kids. So now,
right,
they get to get a break, because the younger kids are on the rock climbing wall that are playing mini golf, and that's a break for the parents, which they're actually very grateful about. So
yeah, it's actually great. They can grab a cup of coffee at Panera, walk right over, and then just have a little time to themselves and watch their kids.
That's what I love most about the new space is that they don't have to just sit there and just wait and have idle time, for the other kids to train. Multiple kids are doing multiple activities. And like I said, creates a bonding experience.
Right. Yeah, no, that's good. That's great. Now, as far as as far as the clientele, what kind of people do you work with usually?
We work with all types. And I know that, it's never good to make a general statement and say we work with everyone, but we really do. And I'll explain a little bit more about that. So with Results Performance, I will say that we do service more of the youth. Mm-hmm. We have 8 to 12,
right,
and then we have 12 and up. So we see a lot of teenagers, we see a lot of middle schoolers who are really serious about their sport, playing multiple sports. We're able to adapt to all of them, but we do have a program through Results Boxing where you can actually have 3 and under.
Wow.
So Coach
3 and under?
Wow. So Coach Maria, she does all of the minis, right? And then we also have an adults program at Results Boxing where they can come in and either do boxing classes or do cross training. Mm-hmm. And, obviously the spaces are across from each other, so they come over to our space when there's a lot of people when they do the cross training there. So we really service everybody. That's why we have multiple spaces.
Yeah.
But with results performance, we mostly target the youth.
The youth, yeah. So a lot of the student athletes trying to get a little nudge, step ahead.
Also, in between seasons, they don't want to be inactive, so we make sure that we do specific programs for them, periodize for them, for their strength and conditioning, to make sure they're one, not getting injured, and one, not being inactive, so they can go back on the field or on the court fresh.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people have to understand. A lot of the kids, I go to the gym and they're just really focusing on strength training. They're not really focusing on the other things like agility and stabilization. Yeah. Right.
We put a big lens on injury prevention.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We always start with that pillar. And I'm happy to say, knock on wood, that we haven't had any injured athletes.
Oh, wow. That's unbelievable.
Gotten injured on site. Obviously, when you're playing a sport, things happen, sprains and things like that, but we haven't had any major ailments happen. So.
Yeah, I would imagine it's a good thing, especially for the youth, to understand that like stretching is important. I mean, I'm 53 years old and I still,
stretching. A lot of people tend to, confuse the two. Static stretching, where you just like, doing stretches for 5, 10, 12 seconds. That's not really what you want to be doing as an athlete before you go and play. Mobility is more so important.
Sure.
You don't want to be an athlete that's immobile, because you're going to pull something in your hip that's going to affect the rest of your lower extremity, or shoulder is super important. So we focus on all of those things, all of the accessory work, so that when you're doing like the major sports and such, that you don't have to really worry about that.
Right.
A lot of time when you're in simulation, in play, you don't really have time to focus on, okay, let me make sure my shoulder is right, let me make sure that my knee is not buckling, you know what I mean? So that's some of the stuff that we focus on. So it'd be second nature to you, when you're in the heat of things, to know like, all right, I'm already conditioned to move a certain way so that I don't hurt myself. That's what we put our biggest emphasis on.
How much of it is sports specific?
All of it.
All of it, really? Yeah.
So just to give a bit of an explanation about that, because I get this question all the time, just in terms of how we separate the different sports. Our goal at some point, when we have enough of a volume, will be to have specific classes for soccer, specific classes for volleyball, specific classes for basketball. Logistically, right now, that doesn't work. So what we try to do is we definitely separate age groups. Like I said, we do 8 to 12, and then we do 13 and up, just so that the intensity level can be, attainable for everyone. And what happens is we try to keep field athletes and indoor athletes in separate classes. So we do have that separated. And if all of the field athletes, for say football or soccer, are in the same sport, we'll all start off doing general mobility. We'll all start off doing general speed and agility, and then they'll taper off as the session goes on into different sections that will be specific to their sport. And everything is programmed through me and through John, and we look at these every month to make sure that everybody is cycling through the right program.
Mm-hmm. So you're tracking progress too? Yeah. I guess the only way you can get progress is if you're tracking it.
We test every 6 weeks. Sometimes sooner if we need to. But yeah, we test every 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's like physical therapy. Every 4 weeks, they kind of go in and make sure you're improving.
You have to do an assessment. Without an assessment, you're not doing programming. Without, any type of metrics, you don't essentially know what's going on with the athlete or how you're going to be able to progress them or program them. So you test every 6 weeks.
Yeah, and hold them accountable, I would imagine, where they feel like I got to get my act together.
And obviously different tests for different athletes. You do shuttle for, football players and basketball players and such. And then, obviously for basketball players, you're going to test their vertical. We don't do that for every athlete. Some you got to test their broad jump. Some is linear speed. Some is multi-directional speed. So we have...
like a combine.
Yeah, you can call it a combine, but again, it's different for each athlete.
Right, yeah.
And a lot of times what I love is parents are really involved, and, they're able to work closely with us and say, this is what I want the child to get better at specifically. So, we'll create a test and program around that.
Yeah, and the parents know. They kind of see what they're struggling with when they're on the court in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the parents are always fun to work with, because if they're bringing them to a place like yours, that means they're into it. And anytime you're doing something like you're doing, you want people that are into it.
Right.
So a lot of good energy.
And that's some feedback that I've gotten, from parents that have been to different facilities and such. Some have an extreme amount of volume, like the chain like the chain businesses, like the franchises, where, you know, all their programs are cookie cutter. So they kind of like the fact that ours is tailored. And then, you know, some of it's just too slow paced. So they find that we're like a really good medium. We're able to, you know, work with them and make sure that we have every athlete programmed the way that they should. And we even have an app that we use. That's not our app, but an app that we use where, you know, we can write programs for the students that are not even, you know, with us, you know, so
right.
they're like, because I will say these kids are really busy.
Yeah.
Playing 2-3 sports.
Yeah.
So, you know,
which is great to hear.
It's great to hear, but sometimes it's overkill, you know, because sometimes we can't really get them in our facility as much as we would want to, just because they're so busy. So what we do with that is, you know, we have an app where we can create digitally the specific program.
Oh, really?
So that even if they're not with us, we can keep track of them. Because what happens is, and I've had it happen, is, you know, they'll come for a period of time consistently. They'll go off into their season. So baseball and like soccer, they conflict at a time. So if I have a kid who's doing both, I won't see them. And then I've had it where they come back and be like, yeah, you know, overuse, they like pull their calf,
Sure.
you know, their soles. And I'm like, oh man, that's serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I ask them, I'm like, were you doing X and X? And you're like, no, you know, so
Right.
we found a way where we could kind of keep track of them and, you know, keep in contact with them through the app where they don't have to kind of like veer off of their program and their practices.
Yeah, it's easy to get off track with that stuff.
And I
And
don't want to say they're getting off track. They're busy, but there's a such thing called overuse.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a lot of these sports, especially, I mean, I coach travel basketball for years, and basketball is just ridiculous. They'll play 3 games in one day.
Yeah, and then that's another thing that I noticed, you know, in working with the baseball players, they're playing double headers. I mean, 2 games back to back.
Yeah.
That's 4 hours.
Yeah, it's brutal, and it's really not good. You know, it's not even good for the game anymore, because what happens is that one game doesn't mean anything, because you got another game next time, you know, an hour later or the next day, where, remember, you had to wait another week to play?
Yeah.
You really wanted to win this game, because then you had to be upset for
Yeah, and you know, that's just the nature of sports, especially travel sports and youth. You know, that's just how it's going to be, because if you're playing a team from a town that's an hour away, and you have a schedule of, you know, 20, 30 games for the season, you're not going to meet with that team twice.
Right.
Until playoffs, I guess. So I get it. And, you know, that's just something that we got to work around, and that's just something that's going to happen.
And that's why they need you more.
Yeah. So, you know, we try, and, you know, like I said, we try to do our best to service them and try to make sure that we meet them where they're at, you know. Unfortunately, that's not the way I would prefer it, you know, for them to be having that kind of a volume, but that's just the way it is.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Well, there's a problem. You guys have a solution for it. And,
you know, and continuously working on it. You know, we're always trying to make improvements. You know, we're currently in a space now, the new space, and, you know, we're working on doing some type of a recovery center. You know,
okay.
Within that. So that's just
like massages, or what do you mean?
Yeah, we do. We actually work with American Institute of Internal Medicine.
I know Mark.
Yeah, which I went to. You know, I went to that school.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So we're working on something with Mark where he's gonna send in his students to come into massage. And you know, we're also gonna try to put in like our compression boots and things of that nature. You know, looking at cold plunge maybe sometime down the line. So we're always looking at enhance.
Yeah, I mean the recovery aspect of it will be unbelievable.
Recovery is definitely.
I mean, everybody needs that.
Yeah. So definitely.
Even if you're not working out.
Outside of encouraging the athletes to do that on their own, we're going to try to offer that, you know, in-house. You know, we always, every time you come, that's why you say every time you come is something different. Every time you come is something different. Like,
yeah, no, it's always fun walking past, peeking in, and
we're always looking to, you know, offer more.
Yeah, and you have enough space to kind of do what you want between.
That's the space that you see. You have space in the back that we have.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and then you could just kind of put everybody back there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
And the East Brunswick Mall has been great just in terms of working with us and partnering with us and always trying to make sure that, you know, we're seen and visible. So we really appreciate them. Like they've been.
Yeah, no, they're good. I met the general manager the other day for the first time. John introduced me to her. Yeah, they're just kind of.
Awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, she's awesome. So
they always look like they mean business. They're kind of looking around, trying to help you guys
to support us, and you know, we really appreciate them for that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. You really need that support, because having a business, it's a lonely world.
Yep.
No one cares but you, usually.
Exactly.
So
don't make it seem that way. You know, every a couple of days. They make sure they post. They come check in, find out what we have going on, any event that's going on for the town or in the mall. They come in, they make sure that they invite us to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So I would say it's been a really good experience being there.
Oh, that's awesome. So what kind of partnerships do you have with like local sports teams?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because that's part of our mission for this coming year, is to lock arms with a lot of the neighboring businesses and organizations, because there's a lot of sports organizations, and I reach out to them all. I'm sure if you're a sports organization in East Brunswick, you've gotten an email or a call from me.
Right.
So far, we work with Brunswick Hills Tennis Center. We've been working with them for a couple of years now. Big shout out to Todd.
That's an amazing place, by the way. I was in it for the first time for a chamber.
The chamber, I mean, we were there,
and it was. I was like, wow.
I love going there. I love the culture there. They've done a really good job building that up. So we do all of the fitness and programming for them. Sometimes they come to us. Most of the time we go off site to them. Which is something that we're also willing to do. So if any organizations or any type of sports influences around the area are interested, please reach out to us. We're happy to do that. We've had really good success with that, and we work a lot with St. Bart's Buffaloes, the football and cheer, up to 8th grade, the recreational team. So we've done a lot with them. We go on the field to Heavenly Farms with them. We do clinics and stuff. So big shout out to them. They've been a really, really big support to us. So love working with those guys.
Yeah. So you're just looking to branch out, find more organizations where you guys are a good fit.
We're looking to do more strategic partnership.
Okay.
Because we can only do but so much at the mall, and being inside of one space. So we definitely want to reach out and, like I said, lock arms with a lot of the neighboring organizations, just to have more of an impact and an influence, because we believe in what we have and what we offer, and we just want to branch that out and extend it to as many people as possible. So we're just trying to be that hub where people can come and feel comfortable and know that they're going to get the right result and going to be safe.
So when you do stuff for St. Bart's, that's you're doing it like at their field sometime?
Both. So we have a good amount of kids that come in regularly to our classes to work with us individually, and whenever they have a clinic or anything going on, we go out and we do the warm-ups and stuff. We meet with the parents and the kids, and like I said, they've just been a major support to us.
Oh, that's awesome. And
extending their hand and just having us work with them.
Yeah, that would be great when you get the recovery stuff set, because I'm sure the football players kind of need it.
Athletes need it, Yeah. I yell at them all the time, the athletes, because it's a tough sport,
Yeah.
They want to try to push through, and I'm like, sometimes you gotta take a beat.
Yeah, it's like understanding the difference between pain and an injury.
Yeah, I think what they say is, cut your nose to spite your face.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you have one little pull and you decide, like, I'm just gonna play through it, that could turn into a sprain or something that is going to last through 4 to 6 weeks. That's
4 to 6 weeks, sometimes a lifetime eventually.
From a season,
Yeah.
So like I said, we're really big on safety.
Yeah.
I'm opposite of most coaches until you sit out.
Right.
You're gonna miss a game or you miss whatever, but you're really fine.
And that's the beauty with a lot of these sports. There's so many opportunities of tournaments and games. Missing a game is not as it's a big deal to the child, but it's
you have to translate that a certain way, because these kids are really serious about the sport. It means a lot to them, so you don't really want to step on that.
Right.
You want to put it to them in a way where they feel motivated and they see the longevity in what they're doing, because a lot of them, they're middle school, high school. I'm like, you want to make sure, yes, you want to perform well during these years, but you also want to make sure you protect yourself, because if you want to take it even further, going to college and stuff, you have to make sure that you practice some sense of self-preservation.
Going to the point about like missing games and stuff and carrying. I remember when I was coaching travel. I remember 5th or 6th grade, I was coaching a travel team, and the kids take it very seriously. Yeah. Like, this isn't like
they do.
It's not like they're just fifth. I remember a ref said to me one time, "Oh, well, they're just 5th graders." Like, no, they practice 4 times this week. I had them outside in 100-degree weather because they want to win.
Yeah.
So it's more than a 5th grader playing basketball to them. It's the most important thing at this time to them.
And it's refreshing to see, because a lot of times these days you see kids on their devices,
right,
sitting at home. So the kids we come across, they're like doing 2-3 sports. They're at practice every day. You know, I tell my tennis players all the time, you know, when they're hard on themselves, if they like have a bad practice, or not even a bad game, a bad practice.
Right.
They're just like, oh, I played horrible. I'm like, you practiced 8 hours today alone. You know,
Is that what they do?
yeah, much less this week. And you know, they don't. That's just certain days. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, during camp and stuff, they're on a court. You know, 4, 6, 8 hours. I'm like, give yourself some grace. You know, I would say that's my biggest challenge dealing with these athletes is they're so hard on themselves. And I'm just like, you know, you've done more in a day than most people are doing in a week.
Yeah,
just take a beat and give yourself a little bit of grace, and they just beat themselves up mentally so much. So
I think what a lot of people don't understand, especially in towns like East Brunswick and Monroe, it's a big town. It's not like these smaller towns, right?
And it's developing.
But there's a lot of competition to get to that varsity level, and that's the goal of a lot of these athletes, especially if they're coming to special training. So I think as a trainer, you have to look like this is important to them. You know, there's only 14 kids on a basketball team.
You have to frame it a certain way when you're explaining it to them, but at the same time, you know, they do have to just be kids.
Yeah, no,
They have to
absolutely.
enjoy what they're doing. If you're not having fun, then I don't know what the point is. So what you
Right,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? So I would say that's the biggest challenge, is kind of helping them find that balance. But you know, it's all part of the process, and it's all things that we're happy to do.
Yeah, and the word fun is always interesting to me when it comes to sports. Fun for me, like when I played sports in high school, it wasn't like fun like at a birthday party. It was the fun of working hard and seeing a small accomplishment.
Yeah, small wins.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, enjoy the process, really.
Right, the journey. Yep.
And that's what I enjoy most, is kind of getting them to that place. Was getting them to enjoy the process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I will say, you know, I've been in a lot of different areas. I've worked with a lot of different people, not just youth. And I would say East Brunswick has a really, really nice set of kids.
Yeah, they do.
They're really good kids.
Yeah, they are.
And I enjoy working with them. So I would say I'm happy to be here, and we're happy to be a part of, you know, East Brunswick's growth, because I see East Brunswick developing into, you know, a far more major development than it is now.
Yeah.
You know, it's great now. I see, you know, a lot of great things coming in the future, and we're just happy to be a part.
Yeah. Well, what's some advice? I want to get in the direction of the parents. What would be some advice how a parent should handle their kid when the parent wants it just as much as the kid, or they see the kid wants it, where they're not too overbearing? Like, where do you think the happy medium is?
I would say, you know, my advice is give them grace. You know, listen to them. You know what I mean? Don't try to inflict any, you know, of course you're going to inflict your beliefs and your will on them, but, you know, don't put it down their throat. You know, kind of try to meet them where they are, and just understand that they are developing minds that are going through their own process. You know,
Right.
So, and understand that we live in a completely different time.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy that about myself, is that I'm old enough and young enough to kind of relate. You know, I'm not quite the parent, you know, but I'm still young enough to understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
You know,
I see what you're
It's a
saying.
different time. This is not 1990, and this is not 1980.
No.
You know,
Thank goodness.
Yeah, you know, keep your eyes open, and, you know, understand what the youth are battling.
Yeah.
The day to day. And I know, because it's not a matter of what happened at school today, you know, because if you go to school and you come home, once you download that information and you find out what happened with the youth that day, then you kind of like filled in. They could come home one way, they go upstairs, they get on social media, something's going on,
Yeah.
and they come down a completely different way. So you kind of got to keep your finger on the pulse.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
What's going on, without being overbearing. So, you know, I would say give them grace.
Yeah, that's great advice. One thing, I have a nephew. He's 40. He has a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and so I always try to, with sports, to give him some advice that I wish I would have done or realized. And one of the things I realized with sports, with the youth, is just because they're not aggressive at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even 11, you don't know anything until puberty hits of where they're going to be.
You don't know anything, but you don't know anything until puberty hits, but they know a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta say, you're living in a time where kids have access to a lot more than we had access to. So the things that you think that they don't know, are the things that they know most about.
Right.
So I would say have those hard conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I have a lot of hard conversations daily that I don't even ask for, but I'm kind of just in a place to do it. And just make sure you talk to your children and make sure that you are willing to cover all bases, because kids have access to a lot of things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of the things that was fun noticing just coaching and seeing where the kids develop because they all graduated this year, was how some of the kids in 5th and 6th, they had this natural aggression, right? They're just aggressive. So they stood out above the other kids because they had this natural aggression. But they didn't have to work on their form as much because they were getting away with stealing the ball from other people while the other kids weren't there yet. Then at some point that all evened out. And some of the kids who didn't have that natural aggression was working on their shot or working on the form and the techniques of everything, and they end up in the long term doing better. So I would imagine going to a place like yours, it's like just learn, get the knowledge, and then eventually everything's going to click together. It's going to kind of mold together.
Yeah, I'll circle back and say, East Brunswick is a really great community of people. I mean, I mentioned that the kids were great first, but the kids are great because they come from great.
Yeah, they do.
So the parents were doing a really good job.
Yeah.
It's just that I feel like we just have to make sure that that it's not just what you're teaching in the household now. You have so many other factors to...
Stressful.
Yeah, it's really stressful. And I always commend the parents because I'm not yet a parent, but I always really, empathize with them. I'm like, you guys got a lot to do. Parenting in this thing.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Well, you see a lot of it.
Yeah.
But you said it perfectly. They come home, they have a good day, they go up, they look at their social media, and then all of a sudden they're upset about something.
Just be aware of that pattern.
Yeah.
And that's about kids. And a lot of times, kids go through things and they hold it. So always make sure that you're talking to them.
Yeah. No, that's good advice.
Them getting up and going and do, even just them getting up and going to school and giving it their all is a win. And specific to the ones that I deal with, getting up and going to school, doing your best, and then going to do an extracurricular activity and doing your best. These are all wins. You're already ahead. You're already ahead of.
Yeah.
So,
and just have fun.
Yeah. Win, loss. A hard day, whatever. Just fight through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, sports is always a great thing to really learn the grit.
Yeah. An example that I always use to my kids is, as a fighter, I never cared whether I of course you want to go in and you want to win, but I never cared or never, held on to it, win or loss. As long as the person on the other end of me respected me, which they always did, I was good with that.
Yeah. Awesome.
And if I could say that coming from a blood sport, then y'all gonna be all right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's great having you on the podcast, Alex. Do you have any last words, any shout outs, or any
Yeah, I mean, I already gave all my shout outs throughout.
Yeah.
Obviously shout out to my partner John Gallo.
Yeah.
Who I work with every day, and obviously who's been on the podcast.
Sure.
Go check out his episode, it's great. And just to close, I would say like I said before, East Brunswick, as great as it is a developing town, and there's a lot going on. And if there's an event or if there's something going on that you feel would be a fit for us, please reach out. We want to get involved. We want to extend our hand. We want to expand our reach. We want to partner with all of the neighboring organizations who have the same sense of alignment that we do. And just reach out, please. I'll be reaching out.
You sure?
Reach out or correspond. That's what I think.
All right, awesome. You guys have been a great addition to the community. We appreciate you guys, and the best of luck.
Yes.
Take care, brother.
Yes.